Hello, it's Matt, and I'm back with, well, not with, I don't know where I've put it, the Squier, the Bullet Mustang guitar. I don't have it with me because, it's somewhere back there. I did some wiring on it yesterday, and I realized that it's really boring. So what I've done is I've got the footage that I took and I've sped it up a bit. And hopefully I'm going to just talk over it and it'll make more sense than me just sort of rambling through. Otherwise you'd have to listen to me chipmunk voicing it. And I am kind of just like making it up as I go along. I'm not making up the wiring, but you'll kind of see the process that I go through when I'm wiring a guitar. And I've totally gutted this guitar. Okay, so it's starting again. I did drill out the holes in the plate, like I said I would last episode. And I did some shielding on the back of the scratch plate. But otherwise, this is me kind of starting from scratch. So I'm going to just start the video. And if I'm looking off in a weird direction again, it's because I'm looking at my computer and trying to talk over this thing. I bought this. I filmed it on my phone, so it actually looks all right. But if it's wobbling or it has weird cuts, it's because the arm that I was using is not good. And I didn't realize how much space video actually takes up on my phone. So there's a couple of parts where I had to cut and download it and then start again. So anyway, let's go playing this thing. Okay, so you can sort of see my bench, a little bit messy, but there's the plate with the drilled out holes. You can sort of see now I'm using these CTS pots that are kind of a bit longer. The what would you call that? The thread is actually quite long. So I do have to use a couple of extra nuts on it. That's me attaching the jack. I just sort of do them finger tight to start off with. So here you can sort of see how long that shaft is. If I just put it in, it would be sticking up out of the guitar too much. So I actually put 2 nuts on. And I know you don't have to do that. You could just use one and have it snugged up a bit. But I find that if you don't put 2 on or fill up that height, it'll just get loose later. So I just put 2 on just for safety, I guess. This is me realizing that I didn't have a third one, so I stole one from a different pot. I've got a giant drawer full of them. So that's all good. And that's that. So roughly speaking, that's where I kind of want them. And I just snug it up a bit. Generally, I have the pots facing each other. Now, you'll see that the jack, the little tongue of the jack, I keep pointing in. I do that deliberately because, like I said last week, I've shielded the cavities, right? And if that jack tongue was the other way around, when the jack goes in, it might actually be pushing that little bit, which carries signal, against the wall. So to prevent that from happening, I always orient the jacks so the little tongue thing is facing away from the wall. Okay. So this is me just putting the ground reference for the volume pot on. I generally just bend the lug. Maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should use a piece of wire, but I bend the lug. Too bad. And now I did a count, and I'll need 4 other grounds. Okay, so I'm just putting a little blob of solder where I want my 4 grounds. Okay, and I'll have 1 for the bridge ground, 1 for the jack ground, 1 for the tone ground, and 1 for the switch lead ground. Okay, so the tone needs a ground as well. And you'll sort of see that I'm orientating these in a particular way. Oh yeah. Anyway, so that's I've decided to use a 0.033, well, microfarad cap. I'm just splitting the difference. Usually you use 0.47 or 0.22. But I thought, why not go in the middle? See how it goes. If I don't like it, or if you don't like it, if you end up with this guitar, then you can change it. I don't care. I just thought that might be nice. Something different. It's a paper in oil Russian cap. I bought thousands of years ago. Anyway, I'm not using it for any particular reason. Doesn't sound better or anything. It's just, it looks cool, and I've got them. So I do it so the tone, it goes into the resistor, and then it goes into the capacitor, and then to ground. Do them how you will. You know, the point of me showing you how I'm doing this is showing you how I do it. You can do it different. It doesn't matter. I mean, you do have to get it right, but yeah, see how you go. See what suits you. Okay. I will pause for some Vietnamese iced coffee, courtesy of the people at Banh Mi Corner over the road. It'll keep me talking in time with this sped up video. Okay, and that's where my camera first ran out of space. So the tone cap's attached. And we've got our things. So here I'm using some shielded wire, and I'm using these runs through everything. And this is me I'm just sort of spacing things out. Okay. I want to think, and I want to try. And this is me. See, I stripped that bit back, and I didn't like the length of it. So I'll use that for something else. That's me getting a slightly longer. Now I want everything to have a little bit of slack in it. I don't like wire runs that are perfect or perfectly taut or solid core. I don't like that sort of stuff. You need a little bit of flex in your wiring, because things go wrong. Things happen over time. Okay. So this is me. I think this is for the jack. So I just sort of tack it there. I should have thought about this a bit better, but this is me. And there's the ground reference for the jack. And I just trim it, make it look a bit neater. And you'll notice when I do and I'm tinning it, by the way. I tin every connection that I can. You'll see that it's kind of like a bit longer than it needs to be. And that's on purpose. And that's me trying to make it fit. I use tweezers a lot. You might notice, I can't remember how many times I use them here, but I use them a little bit. They're nice. They're finer than my bigger pliers. And it gets things out of the way. And you'll also notice that I'm not doing this in or on the guitar. If I can avoid it, and if you can avoid it, why not make life easy for yourself? Do wiring stuff off the guitar. Don't try and do it in a cavity. It's hard. It's annoying. And you don't need to do that. Unless you do need to do it, and then sucked in, I guess. So this is me prepping probably for the tone. Notice again, I am tinning everything. Everything I do has a little layer of tin on it first. When I say tin, I mean pre-soldering kind of thing. And I'll measure where I want that sort of thing, and I'll trim it to length. There I get at the little helping hand thing. Sometimes that's helpful. Sometimes it's more annoying. But it's kind of good. You know, I certainly don't want 3 hands Although sometimes when you're feeling lonely, might be good. So attach the ground reference. Come on, Matt, you can do it. It's like having somebody watch your work. Now, it might seem like I'm a bit slow at this, or like this is my first go, but generally, I'm kind of thinking. I'm thinking as I do things, and I'm measuring things, and hopefully you'll see at the end how that manifests. So rather than just going, yep, cool, and sticking things wherever, I'm a bit more methodical and a bit more measury, not in a ruler sort of way, but in a fit it, have a look, see what you think, kind of way. Now, you kind of notice that I'm not soldering those hot connections to the lugs of the pot. I'm not doing that on purpose, that you'll see soon, hopefully. Now I'm just trying to get the length of the wire for that one, and you'll see that I've left quite a bit, and that you might not actually need that much. I'll show you why later. Always leave more. A little bit of wire doesn't cost a lot of money. You're not going to make yourself broke if you use a slightly longer piece of wire and then trim it later. You'll actually save yourself a lot of, not a lot, but a little bit of work and a little bit of heartache, rewiring stuff. So again, there's the ground reference for the tone, and you'll sort of see that I've looped it back around the pot, and that's to give it enough slack. So if that tone pot does get loose, it can sort of get loose and nothing bad's not going to happen. I see a lot of wiring, or it depends on the style. Gibson style wiring, they'll use the actual cap legs as part of the wire run, and it's kind of fraught with peril. Because if something comes loose, you'll just crack the leg off the cap. Which, that's the style. I try and wire things when I'm not doing brand new wiring like this. I'll try and wire it to the style of the instrument that it's on. So I'm not going to be like, all this has to go. Even if it does, you try and keep it in the spirit of the instrument, just to sort of be cohesive. And for the next person that opens it up in 5-10 years, they're not like, what is this? So it's sort of sensible. Okay. And you'll see here, you see how much slack I've left there. I don't know. Lots of people won't do that. They'll leave a little tiny bit. But if you get the chance to rewire from scratch, do it. You'll also notice that I put a little kink when I put it through the eye of the pot. I put a little kink in the end of the thing. Now that's just to hold it in while I solder it. You want a little bit of a mechanical connection. So if you've got a hole that you're putting something through, just give it a little bit of a kink to sort of hook it on. Okay. Don't need to put it on and twist it on and keep it like, because, lots of people are like, oh, you need a mechanical connection, and you sort of do, but you'll regret it later. You want it sort of mechanical, but you don't have it sort of twisted on forever, or you're just making more work for yourself. So this is me. Sorry, I got distracted. I think I redo this. So I'm putting a little bit of heat shrink on, and that's so if a pot becomes loose, particularly the tone pot, and it goes sideways, the hot lug that carries the signal, if that touches the shielding, it's going to short out. But if there's heat shrink on it, then it won't. But I think I messed this up in a way that I had to redo. Oh, yeah. So there was a little point on the solder. You can sort of see there's a little sharp bit, and that's kind of wrecking the insulation of the heat shrink. So I'm cutting it off and doing it again. And that is something that just do. Okay, you're here. You've got all your tools. You're wiring stuff up. If you notice something and it's a bit wacky, now's the time. Now's the time to fix it. Okay, and you'll see that I removed the old solder, the existing solder, and look at me redoing everything. And this time I'll make sure it's nice and flush with no sharp bit, and then I'll heat shrink it, and then we're good to move on. So, and hopefully when I'm done, you'll see it'll make more sense why I'm doing this. Sometimes you're like, it's too much work. You don't need to do that. And you don't need to do it. Not many people do this, but I do. So you're going to have to watch me do it because I did it. And that's what we're doing. Watching me do stuff. Okay. So, that looks pretty good to me. And that wire will actually get tucked under a bit when I'm finished. Look at me fumbling around. Okay, so next thing will probably be the switch wire, I reckon. That was my camera running out again. So the switch wire goes all the way back to the pickup switch. So that's why it's a longer sort of lead. This is me measuring it again. If you don't have these tools, by the way, just get these tools. I reckon there's probably soldering iron aside, and I use a Hako. I don't even know what it is. 888? Something. It's good. It's good. But the snips that I use, maybe they were $50. The pliers and there's probably $100 worth of stuff that, but I use this every day. So, you know, you don't have to break the bank. It's not a lot of money, but, don't cheap out. Like this is your tools to do a good job. So you see, I've got two things in that, piece of heat shrink. If I soldered them before or when I did it, I couldn't put that piece of heat shrink on. So that's why I left it off. Now I just solder it together, and I'll solder the middle one as well. The middle one does not get a piece of heat shrink, because honestly, if your pot turns, it's going to hit the other one, and it's going to stop that from happening. If your middle lug is touching something, you got problems. So anyway, that's why I'm doing it this way. Okay, so that's done. I'll probably, shrink it down. And that's pretty good to go. And I think I'll go on to the jack. This Vietnamese iced coffee is too good. Now, the jack is one of those other things that will need a piece of heat shrink on it as well. So that's me making sure I've got enough length on the middle one. And that'll look good. Now, jacks they do have a ground and a hot like everything else. You can't reverse them. Don't reverse them. I know for some reason people think you can. It's weird. That was me running out of battery again. So, yeah, here we go. I think I do this wrong. I can't remember. But I do. And this is what happens, right? You do things, and then you realize, I got to redo that. So redo them. If I'm teaching you anything here, I'm teaching you this. Okay? And I put it on, and the solder looks good, and then I put it on, and I'm like, wait, that doesn't fit. It doesn't fit over the lug. trim it down. See, it doesn't fit. What an idiot. I didn't measure before. But that's all right. I've got a drawer full of the stuff. So once I work it out that I'm not going to be able to make it work, look at me. What an idiot. Good one, idiot. Nah, it's not happening. I could have cut this out, right? If I was more proud or better at video editing, I would have just cut this out. But it's got to go. I've got to unsolder that. Got to suck the solder out of the thing. That's a handy tool to get. Get one of those. They're like $20 or $3 on eBay. Pretty handy. Okay, and get yourself some bigger heat shrink mat. There it is. And just a bit of it. Put a little bit of a hook on it. And I think I should have cut that a bit shorter. And there you go. Anyway, look, this is weird enough for me. Talking at past me, but here we are. And you I don't know if you've picked this up, but as I wire stuff, I'm moving it. I'm moving it all the time. I'm moving it so I'm trying to show you stuff, so it's kind of where you can see things best, but also where I can access them best. Because it's no point having everything like tied to. I know some people have these big boards where they put all the parts and then they're soldering, and it's kind of awkward in some positions. If you don't have to do that, you're making your life more difficult. This is me just tacking, like zip tying them together. I use a bunch of zip ties all the time. I use them just to hold stuff and then cut them off. But that's looking pretty good. Moving it around, having a look at all angles, making sure that that's all right. And that does look pretty good. So I'll probably just be moving on to the switch. Oh, no, there we go. So switch. And I changed my mind halfway through here, which you'll probably see me fumbling around. Now the switch, I'm going to put a locking washer. There it is. That didn't come with it. I just have tons of those. So it sort of helps them stop from turning. And there's another point where I didn't realize how the switch is oriented in the guitar. So I sort of go away and check whether it's straight up and down. And it's not. It's sort of at a funny angle. Kind of that angle. But we'll see where it feels comfortable and what makes sense later. But I'll just wire it up. So these switches, they have, they're like a wafer, right? So the big one that runs through the middle holds ground. And then the two that I'm crimping together they're essentially the out. And that goes off to the volume pot, that one that I'm holding now. And I give it enough slack to make sure it'll reach. And you've got to think about the route inside the guitar, whether it's got enough length to follow that. And it will, I hope. If it doesn't, if I've got this wrong, I'll just redo it. It's all right. There's no rush. There's no, getting this right is the important part. My time is less important than a working guitar. Okay. Well, depends who you ask. But okay. Here's an example of me using a zip tie that I'm just going to cut off later. I do it just to keep stuff out of the way. Zip ties are like micro cents. They cost nothing. So just use them. I could probably be less wasteful, but here I am. So this is a tricky sort of situation when you're in a guitar because I don't want to cut leads too short ever, but I don't want tons of extra lead sitting around in a guitar that much. I mean, some people make them so short. So I think they do it in the like to get ultimate tone. They have really, really short runs, which is ridiculous when you think of the length of your guitar lead or whatever, or your pedal board and the hundreds of thousands of kilometers of PCB traces that it goes through. Just leave a little bit of slack. Maybe not too much. The cavity in this guitar particularly is quite small, except for the middle bit. So I'm trying to work out a way to do this neatly. So the way I do it, and the way that I encourage you to do it, is so here I'm just sort of stripping the wires, and you'll notice that they're not all identical length. I do that on purpose, and you'll see at the end that they'll kind of look all right. But so what I want is all the grounds to be sort of smushed together. So it's the pickup, the neck pickup and the bridge pickup ground, and the signal ground that goes out to the volume pot. They're all going to be tied together, and they're going to go to the switch ground. This is me just sort of working out. And I'm mentally seeing that the red one was on the bridge pickup, and the white wire was on the neck pickup, and the slightly fatter white wire went to the switch. Okay, and I pay attention, and I memorize that. And I'll just tin these together so they don't fray while I'm messing about trying to make them fit good. So then I'm like, I don't like how that goes. So my ground's on that side, this the horn side, and I don't like it. Okay, so I'm gonna probably at some stage here flip over. I don't like how those wires sort of sit. It's not my vibe, as it were. So then the camera ran out of juice again. So I've put a piece of heat shrink on there, okay? And that's just to kind of keep them together. And it's also to sort of protect where they've been all sort of tied together a bit. And I'll just prep the ends of the hot or the signal leads, strip them down, tin them a bit. So that's your three things, the three connections, and they'll go onto those three connections that you can see, and I've reorientated that switch. Reorientated, whatever. And I tin the little lugs. It just makes my life easier when I go to solder them properly. Okay? And I'm reorientating the work all the time to make it easier on myself. Okay? Tin. I usually take care not to fill up the hole, but just put a little bit of solder around it, and it'll flow a lot better when it comes time to solder it properly. You'll sort of see, I solder it and it's like a second, and it just flows and it's super good. I don't have to sit there swearing at it. It just sort of works. So I put a little kink in the big one. Well, it's big, slightly bigger one. And this looks a bit awkward, but it's always awkward, okay? So my camera just cut out. I don't know what you missed. What a schmozzle. Anyway, let's try that again. So I'm wiring up the switch, right? So I'm doing the center one, and I'm trimming it flush, and I notice there's no heat shrink on that. Like I said, if the switches are going either way, and I'm remembering where the walls are on these things, it's going to touch the other ones first. I probably could have put some on there, but I didn't. So too bad. So there's 2 bits of heat shrink. Notice that I'm putting the heat shrink on before I'm wiring it. Hot tip, do that. Otherwise you won't work, will it? So put a little kink in the thing. A little bit of kink in everything. And fumbling around like this is my first wiring job. It's probably the first one I've filmed. Maybe I was nervous. I wasn't. So these things are just fiddly. Okay. So don't try and rush it. Don't try and be like, oh, I can wire stuff really good. Just take your time. You're not on the clock. Actually, I am on the clock. I have no time to do these things, but you notice that I'm doing it slowly for the benefit of everyone. Rushing is the enemy of good work. I'm sure there's some sort of doormat that says that in a workshop. A motivational coaster or something. Maybe I'll make them. I'll stop making videos and start making motivational coasters. This is me using the pliers as a helping hand and then realizing that that's a stupid idea. This camera keeps overheating. Sony. It's annoying. Anyway, I'm going to crack on. Hopefully I can get through 4 more minutes without you overheating again. I'm looking at you. Right. So, soldering. Again. I don't know why I'm filming this bit. I could just record the audio, but here I am. Okay. So give that a little bit of pinch. Cut that bit off. Okay, cool. So 2 outside lugs, heat shrunk. And that's me heat shrinking them. Okay. And that's that. And now I've got to work out how to put the ground thing on. Okay. And the ground has to be quite a little bit away from the rest of it. Cause those little wafers in the switch, they carry signal. So you kind of want nothing else to touch them. Okay. This is me kind of working it out, seeing which side it should go on, seeing which way, looks good, feels good. Now I don't go through the little hole in the switch thing. I'm just going to use enough solder to sort of weld it into a nice big joint. Because that's, I don't know what happened there. Probably my camera overheated again. It didn't. But, look, so this is me and I kind of just tack it on and I have a look. Do I like it? Do I like it? Maybe. Cool. And then once it's kind of where I want it, then I'll do it for real. Okay. And you might be like, man, you screw around a lot. I'm just lining stuff up. Okay. This is, and this is how I do things. You can do things however you want in your own shop. That's all cool. I'm just showing my process for this guitar. Obviously it will be different for a different guitar. And obviously you might be like, oh, what an amateur. Don't do it like that. That's cool. I look forward to your video on the topic. But this is me. This one requires a bit more heat, cause it's quite a big piece of metal. But I think I'm good. That looks pretty good to me. Got enough length in those leads. So they'll kind of sit good, just trimming that up a bit. And that's it. I think I might need another. I think I put another zip tie on. I would. So hopefully past me did. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to do it. And that's that. That's all she wrote. Oh, I do have to fix up one little bit that I missed earlier. But generally, that's how I would do a 2-pickup guitar with a volume and a tone. And I kind of repeat this process for however, every guitar is different dimensions, all that sort of stuff. There is a missing ground wire that I pointed at just then. That's in the guitar. So I'll attach that before I put everything together. I'm just checking whether the knobs fit, and they fit and they look good. And that's kind of it. We're done. Oh, wait, no, we're not done, because on the tone pot, the outer lug is still raw. So I'm going to put a piece of heat shrink on that, which I realized there. Everything looks pretty good. Nothing's going to touch the walls. No signal wire is going to touch the walls anyway. The ground can. Doesn't matter if the ground does. But yeah, see that one? We're going to have to put a little bit of heat shrink on that. Don't have to, but it's nice while I'm here, while I've got the gun and all my heat shrink. Good time to do it. And then that's it. Then next week I'll remount it in the guitar, make sure it all works. Hopefully it works. And that's that. So thank you for sticking with me. I hope my camera doesn't overheat while I'm saying goodbye to you all. I guess I've got some why is your camera overheating things to watch. But that's it. Hopefully that helped somebody. If not, I hope it was entertaining. It probably wasn't. It was pretty boring. But that's all right. Now you see what's inside a guitar, or inside this guitar. And maybe I should have shown the factory stuff as well. But I threw it in the bin. So if I can find an old picture, I'll put that up so you got a like for like. And you can tell who wore it better. So that's it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Keep being kind to animals, and be kind to your Sony camera, lest it overheat again. See ya.